Hey DC fans, Damien Fashani from DC Comics News. This time we bring you another exclusive. We're proud to announce that we interviewed Katie Cassidy, the star from the CW hit show Arrow. Katie Cassidy plays Laurel Lance / the Black Canary. And in this exclusive interview DC Comics News, Katie Cassidy goes over a broad range of topics. So we want you to sit back and enjoy this exclusive interview.
It's Damien from DC Comics News. How are you going?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you very much for your time, and welcome to DC Comics News. I wanted to kick off and give our fans a bit of an introduction into yourself. Would you mind giving us just a short bio on your background and where you came from and where you grew up?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California, with my mom and my stepdad and my two sisters, and I had a pretty normal upbringing, I guess, if there is such a thing as normal. I studied for a really long time. I did theater when I was from elementary school up until high school, and then in high school I was homeschooled half the time and working half the time, and then from high school my parents were kind of like, if you're serious about this and you want to do this, then you're on your own. And I actually, now I can say I really appreciate them for that, even though at the time I was pissed. But it makes you feel like you're more appreciative, and it's good to say that I can own everything that I've made up to this point, so that's good.
And with your career, can you give us a bit of a background or an intro in how you got into acting and what your first big break was with your career?
I got into acting, just from having a passion for it and drive for it and being in theater, and then, actually looking at it as a career, probably when I was kind of deciding whether I wanted to go to college or not. I had to have that. I was working, but not quite enough to be on my own, and sort of at a crossroads of whether I was going to go to college or if I was going to go to, try and make it as a career and study in acting school. And I went with my gut, and it's been good.
Fantastic. If we move onto Arrow, how did the opportunity land with getting a role on the show? And with that, what was it about the show that was enticing for yourself?
Well, when they sent over the script, it was during pilot season, and it was David Nutter directing, and Greg Berlanti, Mark Guggenheim, Andrew Kreisberg, and they are all very respectful people, and I'm actually have been a fan of many. Greg has created many shows, and I read it, and I had a feeling, and I was just like, if this is what I want to do, this is the one the pilot that I want to be a part of, and I actually refused to. I wanted it so bad that I basically told my agent that I wouldn't read it for anything else. Which just left them frustrated, but I was like, this is what I want, this is what I believe in, and, having been on the CW and doing a lot of work with them, I felt like I was already a part of their family, and, it worked itself out.
So with your character then, with Laurel, Laurel's been through so much on the show. She's gone through struggles and she's evolved as a person, and it's quite evident that she's a fighter at the core. How have you evolved, I guess, as an actor throughout that process and being through so much with the character?
I definitely think that being a part of a show that's going on to its fourth season now, I've definitely got a lot of time to get to explore this character, and living in her and with her for 3 years has been a dream. And the writers have been brilliant, and the way that they've written my character has been great. And I've always said, like, I wanted to, I just like everything to be as real as possible for me, and they've given me that in the sense that they let Laurel, kind of go on a roller coaster, and you saw her really hit rock bottom in season 2. That sort of made her earn season 3, and which will then develop her for season 4. And I mean, honestly, it's been a blast. It's been quite the adventure. I'm thrilled. I've definitely been challenged at times, and I just try not to get in my own head and trust myself.
So with the Evolve, as we've seen Laurel evolve, to everyone's excitement, we've seen Laurel become, Black Canary and take on that superhero status. With that the second stage of evolving of that character, what does that mean to you to be able to don that costume and I guess take it to the next level? How has that been for you in that regard?
I mean, it's been amazing. I think what was really necessary was a physical change from season 2 to season 3 in Laurel. And, I dedicated my hiatus in the beginning of the year to really physically, fight training. I want everything to look as real as possible. So, I was at one point like in 3 hours of training a day, and, it takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of, obviously, it's mental strength, and it's as much as Laurel's a fighter, I feel like I am, and that's what I think is so great about the character, and I can relate to her, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and I think that she has the sort of same mentality, and it's been honestly like a dream though, because I like being healthy, I like working out, I like taking care of myself, and what better way to do it when it's for your job and you're getting paid to do that? So I, embraced it fully, and I had a blast doing it, and I'm just looking forward to more.
So, and with that, you're talking about, being so passionate and dedicated to fitness and doing that role and being the best you can be. And that really comes out in the character when you see her don that costume and take on crimes throughout the city. You were talking just a bit about health and fitness there and how that's part of you. Can you give us just a little bit of detail on, how often you train and whether you train with a personal trainer or what that looks like?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, it depends on the time of year, but this last hiatus when I went back to Vancouver, I want to say like end of May, beginning of June, I was, like I said, I was in 3 hours of training a day, but not necessarily all the same type of stuff. I was doing fight training, like boxing. I would do weight training, I would do cardio, or I would do spin class or yoga, and I was constantly just mixing it up. So it wasn't like I was doing 3 hours of the same strenuous workout every day. But, I trained for like 3 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week. And it was tough and it was tiring, but it was worth it. And then like once you get your body to a certain level, you can kind of, like once you develop the muscle and lifting weights, you can I was able to go back to like a normal person's, I guess, workout regimen, which, an hour a day or an hour a day, 5 days a week. Like it sort of just would depend on my work schedule. And if I was going to be shooting like 15 hours straight, there was no way I was going to be able to go to the gym, and work out beforehand. And it can be hard and take a toll on your body. But I think that I did a good job in, balancing it. And again, I'm looking forward to doing the same this hiatus.
On to, I guess, just generically the comic book industry and pop culture. I mean, if you look at DC and the fans that they have, there's a lot of passionate fans out there, and sometimes with that, the fans have expectations on comics and TV shows and personas of characters. How do you manage that as far as fan feedback and going to conventions and talking about the show and being part of panels? Do you feel like there's expectation there with your role, and if so, what do you do to deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think fans of the comic books definitely have expectations, and I've always just said, like, I do the best that I can do to, given the material that I've been given, and to make everybody happy. And, they seem, for the most part, I think, to be happy. I think most fans seem to embrace the role and like her even more, especially this season, which is great. Because I just do my job, and I'm given the material, and I do it to the best of my ability. I don't get to make the decisions on what's going to be said or written or storyline. It's not. It's more of the producers and the writers, and they just rely on me and trust me to do it.
Well, we think you've done a brilliant job of the character. So whatever it is you're doing in the background, just keep doing what you're doing, because I think there's a lot of happy fans out there as far as how the show's progressing in your character.
Oh, that's great. I love to hear that. Thank you.
With dealing with Sarah's death on the show and managing that within the plot, it's been a very emotional roller coaster. And I think Arrow as a show, and dealing with emotional scenes and really, bleeding the plot out through its characters, Arrow does it really well. For Laurel, how do you deal with those emotional scenes? How do you prepare for those moments in the show?
Well, put it this way, it's not something I take lightly. I especially during season 2, when it was like that heavy emotion and that darkness, I would go to set every day, and I would just sort of live in it and be in it. And Paul Blackthorne, who plays my father, he's a wonderful actor, and he could tell you how many times he told me since, which is why I know, but he said, I told that theater so many times, like, I would be sitting on the side, like working myself up or breaking myself down before a scene. And he's a tremendous actor, and I have an enormous amount of respect for him. And for him to tell me that I've earned his respect, even just an ounce of it, was so great to hear from somebody that you look up to. And I think he saw, like, I think everybody saw, I really gave 110% of myself, and I still do. And I don't decide what's written, but I just give everything I can and hope that it's there. And I feel as though, you can tell physically I was emotionally drained. I think you could tell emotionally I was emotionally drained. I think, and I think, going into season 3, you can tell that I really took on whatever sort of role is, or journey, or like whatever route Laurel's on, I really embrace it, and I think that's really important as an actor.
Whether it's an actor or just in your personal life, what inspires you?
I feel like in everyday life, or you mean like when it comes to material?
Oh, just in everyday life. What inspires you to get up and do your job and be you, and everything from health and fitness? Is there something out there that inspires you to get the best out of yourself?
I think it's having everybody else around you and surrounding yourself by, positive people and people who believe in you. And that being said, like, even going to our producers and our writers, they truly had faith in me and knew that I could do it. And I think that was just inspiring. The fact that somebody believes in me and they're willing to, write for me, or just the fact that they see good in me, I think that that's inspirational in itself. And I also think, physically, when you work out and are healthy, you're physically not only healthier, but mentally it helps you every day, and it sort of just becomes a part of your everyday life. And I think just having a positive attitude and trying to be the best that I could be is the best way to describe it. I wake up every morning and I try and do something better than I guess I did the day before, or more than I did the day before, just to sort of keep this overall positive energy going on.
That's fantastic. Well, Katie, I really want to thank you for your time and talking with DC Comics News. We wish you all the best in the future. We think you're doing an amazing job on Arrow, and we all love the show. So best of luck for the future. And again, thank you for everything.
Yeah, no, thank you. Take care.